that you're likely to go through as a man. Let me just go through them very fast. This was done by, I think that it's called Queen Mary University of London. They're saying as a man, you're most likely to fight a war. I don't know if it's like the Goma, well, so Haiti kind of, I don't know, but could be a war with yourself or with society or within your environment. And then you're most likely to also be a victim of violence and crime. As a man, you're most likely as well to be a homicide victim, to end up incarcerated, likely to get custody of your kid if you've been engaged in a relationship that has resulted to you siring or bearing kids. You're also likely to pay more in divorce cases, and then in child support, including to get into conflicts and fights physically with people. But then the last one literally blew my mind. It said you're more likely to commit suicide because of the experiences that we go through. But in my thinking, aren't this the some things that our counterparts are experiencing, the ladies here? What makes it, what is the cutting line between what men go through and what women go through that could also land them in such scenarios? Yeah.
I started by saying that it depends with the pain that we undergo through, or it depends with the fight that we are engaged in, you know. As a man, of course, as the face of the society, it is obviously normal that you undergo fights. And I started by focusing on the fight in pursuit of excellence. That is a different fight together with, in contrast with the violent fights, with the domestic fights. Those particular fights are physical, majority of them. And they result in, others result in suicide. And what can make a man to undergo such fights may be due to past relationships, the current relationships, how they are faring. Men can also engage in violent fights, a normal fight, and that can result in depression, that can result in death, and I mean, it's normal.
Okay. Let me jump to you, Fred. When you have a panoramic view of what it feels like to maybe fail in society today, failure has been painted to be the absolute of the nastiest. It's like if you failed in life, that's it. It's a wrap for you. You'll never amount to anything. Maybe if you were to just, let's say, dissect into what are some of the failures that we as gentlemen go through. Maybe let's begin with our formative years. You're trying to build a career, you're trying to build a business. There's an excerpt I wanted to actually go through. There's somebody who had highlighted Andrew Kibe's failures. This point they said, you know, he tried a radio career, it never sufficed. Tried building a website of being jacked out of YouTube, it never went well. He tried coming up again with, I think, another alternative channel, it was suspended. And again, in fact, they were saying right now he's in turmoil, yeah. And these people were saying as a man, the only way when you're down is up. When you look at the whole panoramic view of what it feels like to fail as a man, where does it begin?
It began from the Bible, when Adam and Eve, during the beginning, you saw the sin that was committed by Adam, and God declared that a man must suffer, and they will be suffering entire life. So from the biblical perspective, it is viewed and it has been carried on generations that it is the work of a man to work hard, suffer, so that he can provide and lead. And from the family perspective, a man is the head of the family. So he's the one who will shield the family and the entire society. He will receive all he will like the shock absorber of the society. So all the beating that will be received by the society is the man who will carry. Even if an emergency arises, the first person who will be approached is a man to offer protection. So in the process of offering that protection, there might be casualty, and that is how a man suffers. But if you compare to ladies, ladies have more of somewhere to lean on.
Meaning that there's less support for the gentleman than for the lady. Why do you think it's that way? Is it because for you as a man, you are single-handedly meant to create an environment that supports the other gender than supports you? And if it's not created by you, definitely support is not going to be there. Is that what it looks like?
A man is like a leader in the war who will take the forefront.
Right.
So a woman is just of maybe emotional support, but the physical fight and everything that is done, it is a man who bear all the pain. So from the societal view, they expect a man to bear all the pains.
But let's look at failure, because I think maybe understanding failure is the most imperative part. What exactly does it look like to fail as a man? You'd be considered, I was trying to give you an example of Andrew Kibe. You know, they've just highlighted his things because he was one of the most vocal content curators here. And then he, I believe, that's when you say your life took a detour. There's nothing good ongoing for you. But I believe as well also, just keeping your mental health in check, I think that's a big success. But then let's dissect into the whole aspect of failure. What are some of the things that could happen within your environments that would be summarized as, oh bro, you failed?
The man suffering and failure, the major causes is the society has focused more on empowering girl child, not and excluding the boy child in the mix. So it has brought a lot of challenges in terms of the man, and the man has been suffering. And the implication of a failed man, you cannot even, there is a proverb that says when you are broke as a man, even your own dog will be against you.
It'll back at you.
It will back at you. And so a failed man is looked as a liability in the society and is rejected and is subjected to work hard so that he can be seen. And also even if you have a good point or something to offer to the society, they will look it in terms of whether he owns property, is it rich, does he have anything to offer back to the society?
Yeah, but maybe what are some of the things that might have happened to you that, or maybe you attempted to accomplish, but then you never accomplished, and so you're considered as a failure, maybe as a man, maybe as a young man, before we say to an established man between 40 to 45, Let's think of between maybe 18 to, is it possible to say a gentleman aged between 18 to 25 has failed? And also, what are some of the things in between that they were not able to accomplish that you'd say they'll amount to be a failure if they don't accomplish them by 18 to 25?
In the phases of the growth of a man, there are some expectations you should have as a man in terms of preparing your life towards the life, because you will be the sole provider. So at the age of 18 to 15, a man should focus on building his social capital in terms of connection and how he can mobilize resources that will sustain him in the future. So within that transition of between, if a man is not keen and well planned, it will be hard for him in the future to cope with the society.
But I'm looking for the failure factor, the F factor here.
The failure factor of a man in the society is mostly not opportunistic. You know, as a man, you should be able to spot opportunities.
Like you should be aggressive, innovative.
Aggressive and innovative.
In short, you're just an entrepreneur in a shell called a gentleman. Trying to find ways where there are no ways.
There is a proverb when they say, when our parents are poor, they always say when others were grabbing land, they were busy clubbing with the women.
Land was,
land was
5
being
acres was being sold at
so they were
1,000.
not opportunities. That's why we are poor.
So
because you can see their agenda, their people are rich, but he's the only one who is broke.
Could that
and
be
also
a really factor
the influence of the
rich?
Society, where in terms of drug abuse, some of our parents had so many wealth, but and they inherited a lot of wealth. So how you handle this wealth in future will determine whether will be good. So as a man, most of the failure is how he prepare himself how he's brought up to handle or inherit the inheritance or wealth from the other one. If he's influenced by maybe alcohol, women, major thing that might cause women to fail is the wrong choice, men to fail, is the wrong choice of a partner.
Wrong choice of a partner. Go ahead.
They should use a supportive partner, a partner who will come to the table and offer something in return. You should, if you marry a liability, even if you become a billionaire, those wealth will go.
Okay.
So the second thing,
the
second thing is the people you associate with, your peers, the people who mentor you during your younger age. If you associate with people who drink alcohol, thieves, that is how you will be brought up. So you will be.
So those factors combined together, you'll amount to a failure.
You will amount to a failure.
Okay, impressive. Ledama,
yes.
When you look at that whole conversation, he's talking about, as a man, if you're not building your social capital between ages 18 to 25, you'll definitely land into a ditch called failure. I don't know maybe what other things that are uprising within that same circle that you'd say in your own mindset. If, as even at your age, probably all of you are not 30 yet, if you've not accomplished some certain things, or if you did not go through a certain process, or they say it's a class. If you skipped a certain class as a man, you'll definitely go back to that class. But I don't know if it's absolutely right, or there's people who outgrow some things, or even skip because they're early bloomers and late bloomers here. But within the context of establishment, what are some of the other pricing factors that if you don't go through them, you'll absolutely fail?
Majority of the factors that are in between the age of 18 to 25 majorly focus on what will happen in the future. One is that Fred has said is social capital, of which as a young person you have every other reason to build on your relationships, on the people who are around you, on how your future will look together with the people you're going together with. Another thing that the age of 18 to 25 we need to focus on is our knowledge, basically. That is through getting education. You find that the people who are in that age bracket are people who are still in school. Majority of them are in campuses. Others are post-campuses doing other relevant courses. That is one of the major factors that as a young person you also need to consider is building your curriculum vitae, that is the CV, at the age of 18 to 25. Another thing that may arise maybe at the end of it all is our relationship. It can be either mutual relationship, it can be the normal relationship that will lead into having a partner in later life. That is one of the things that a person of the age of 18 to 25 can also focus on. Maybe for others who may not have had access to education can measure on creation of wealth. That is basically through self-employment. It can be through content creation. It can be through farming. I mean, they can engage in entrepreneurship at the age of 18 to 25, and it is not absolutely that they'll fail. For me, I believe that for a person who is at that age bracket, failure is not an option, majorly because it's your starting. And, you know, of course, for you to venture into something new, there are always two outcomes. It's either you succeed or you fail. But that failure that you get at that particular age cannot determine who you will be or what will happen in the future, basically because it's your prime age. You know, a person can fail at the age of 25, but still can rise up at the age of 40. You know, so for me, I believe that the age of 18 to 25, it's about exploring, basically, whereby you explore on various aspects. Whatever will come out of it, whether it will be a success, good, whether it will be a loss, it will be also an opportunity for you to rebuild in the future, because there's still time. they still
Yeah,
time on
there's
it.
time actually.
Yeah.
The age factor is comes into play.
Yeah.
I've actually found the excerpt from Andrew Kibe. Yeah, this was, I think, compiled by one of the blogs. So I want you guys to sound off on this one. So this blog said why Andrew Kibe refers to himself as a collection of failures. They've listed 10. I'm just going to go through them very fast and you'll react. I'll get back to you, Fred. He tried to be a pastor. They said it failed. He tried marriage. It failed. He tried to be a radio presenter. Got fired. He tried to start his own radio channel, Rock Radio, failed. He tried to be a politician, failed terribly. They've added that word right there. Relocated to the USA, deported after 2 years. Tried to start his own podcast after going viral. YouTube channel banned. Channels permanently, in fact, banned from Google as well. Tried music, failed. Tried to start an application to compete YouTube, Africa, failed terribly. Then they say he tried to become a comedian and also failed. So if you look at this context of this guy who was a darling of the men, I believe he is still to some certain demographic of men. You tune into his ex live right now. There's people right there just listening to what the nuggets of wisdom he's unleashing or dispensing. Do you consider this as a failure? And maybe what could have gone wrong in the life of Andrew Kibe? In fact, I remember when Andrew Kibe was starting out to give insights about men and masculinity. He started right here on Y254 with Shigo Kaitani. This could be like 7 or 8 years ago. What could have gone wrong?
Basically, first of all, I'm a student of Kibe.
Oh, you're a student. Okay.
And for the excerpt, and for the excerpt, I saw it online, and I really followed up on how the analysis was that he has failed in almost all the areas that he has tried. But for me, I believe that Andrew Kibe hasn't failed, basically because for you to try all those things that he has tried, it takes a real gentleman to do so. For almost doing 10 things and almost coming down every other time, it takes a real gentleman to do such. It takes the heart of the likes of Abraham Lincoln, the likes of Nelson Mandela to overcome such. But one thing about Andrew Kibe, the things that he has done and people view it in their own ways that he has failed, is that at least he has tried. He has tried to try out everything else. The other day he was here in Langata. He tried and it failed. He has tried basically almost everything. And one thing that impressed me was that the fact that he was trying to bring a competitor to YouTube, that is the Africa. It's an invention that if it will have been supported, according to my view, it is something that will have generated income to many of the youths in Africa, because it's something that will have focused majorly on Africa. And right now the world is focusing on why we should be self-sufficient. We should not be dependent on other continents for us to sustain ourselves.
Yeah.
So
just hold it right there. In fact, one of the reasons why they're saying he failed is because he was speaking against women, who are the majority of the entire population in the world. At some point, I was in one of his X platform, and I think the way he delivers his delivery is a little bit not conventional, and perhaps maybe it's for a certain specific demographic of men who have that kind of mentality. But then when you look at the way he was trying to, I don't know, almost cultic teachings of, as a man, if you don't do this, you do this. But then it's like he's having a taste of his own medicine just at the time when he's expected to be, enjoying success.
Do
you believe that could have contributed to his downfall?
To me, I cannot say that it contributed to his failure, because the mode of delivery of any other thing, even if you go to two churches and different churches, the mode of delivery of the message by every other bishop or every other pastor cannot be the same. Maybe because I was keen on his teachings, is that majority of the women had raised issues on feminism, and at some point I agreed with them, because the mode of delivery that Kibe was using wouldn't favor, was a little bit too harsh on the ladies. But it was also his mode of
That's where he
delivery.
failed.
It was also,
the
no,
YouTube
no,
channel.
basically you cannot say it was where he failed,
Yeah.
because you cannot contribute that to Africa being shut down because of women, no? I mean, there are other factors that may have contributed to that, but it is not the sole or the key factor that made him to fail, because we all have different modes on how we communicate.
Okay.
And to me, I am really encouraged by the fact that he was so much innovative in that if this fails, you have to try another, and if also that fails, you also have to explore, you also
He's
have to...
He's actually tried great exploits. Being a member of parliament requires you to have a certain level of autonomy. That's massively big. Starting your own radio station in a competitive airwave bombarding era, it's really impressive. There are so many other things, but let me just hear your sound off before we get to the difference, the contrast between failure and a setback. Because I believe probably this is what Andrew Kibe has gone through, are more of like setbacks than failures, from my understanding. Yeah.
Kibe is an example of a controversial persona. So a controversial persona, even being endorsed by brands to get those advertisements, adhering to community guidelines for those platforms, is hard for him. As much as you want to push for your own interests or policies, there are some guidelines that you must adhere that were set by those platforms. That is what Kibe should learn. And also in terms of discipline, Kibe lack some sort of discipline. As much as you are delivering your content should be more diverse. His content is African sentence, where a man is viewed as everything, which cannot sell in the global platform where a woman has been praised. So that is most of the thing that leads to his failure and
do you say it's a failure or a setback? Because I understand a setback could be you tried to establish something, it thrived for a certain season or a period of time, but then it hit a bump, you know. But again, when it hit a bump, you still have the capacity to decide and pump in more effort to come back up. So would you say Andrew Kibe failed, or he just hit rock bottom and he can always, start from the bottom up?
Career journey, it is a mixture of failure and setbacks. Because if you lose, you can't even run a successful relationship. That is the first failure of a man. There's nothing you can tell the society if you cannot raise up a family. Yeah, that is.
So your success sometimes is seen in how you raise a family.
The African society will leave you first if you don't have money, if you don't have a successful family.
That's marriage.
As much as you try, you'll not go anywhere.
You'll always be a failure.
Yeah.
Is it true? Is it a mindset, Ama? That's how it is. Because I know
true.
so many single dudes who are running the streets and
from
calling
the Bible,
the shots. Yeah.
A man is the head of the family.
Yeah.
If you didn't manage to be the head of your family, who will you head outside? No one will listen to you. You'll just please the confused generation of male chauvinists.
So this is what Andrew Kibe was doing.
That is what he has been doing.
Confusing, man. Okay, but now let's understand. Maybe.
From that, he has some truth in his content, but
let's just say
bigger
the style of
percentage
delivery was just,
the bigger percentage is totally.
It was centered to like brutalize men against women, and you can't survive if you're brutalizing women in the world. You can't. Whether
it should be more balanced.
On algorithm or whatever.
For example, his content of delivery should be in such a way he give problem, solutions, and also bring a contrast between men and women. But he is only criminalizing women and praising men.
So it came from a point of bitterness. Anyways, let's forget about Andrew Kibe. How do you contrast failure and setback? Like I said, I believe maybe setback comes from a point of you just hit rock bottom, but you still have your own thing going on. And maybe if you get help, you can still get back up. But failure means that there's no hope, it's a dead end, and maybe trying afresh or reinventing yourself can help you start a fresh journey or something new. setback and failure. Yeah.
So failure is the first thing that happens in a man's life or someone's life. Once you fail, you learn and accept the failure. So when you're executing back the same thing or a different thing, you will encounter setback. So from what you learn from your failures, the previous failure, you can able to raise again from your setback. So a person who has failed is easier to encounter the setback compared to the one who has already encountered the setback for the first time without failing. Yeah.
But then the successful man, you said, is just centered around having, I'd say, a thriving relationship that includes family, and that begins maybe from marriage.
Yeah.
Are there other things that can define, that can, let's say if you looked at this dude, you'd say, you know what, I think this guy has a good career, in as much as there's no marriage in the picture, but he's running an empire, he's a CEO, he has a startup, and it's going on well. So would you consider this guy as a failure, or you just say maybe there's some components or facets in his life that are not complete? Because you've said previously, a man, your success starts in raising a healthy, thriving family, and if you don't have it, you're not considered successful.
So from the family, there's a next step in terms of how you do your financial planning, in terms of investment and future planning. Most of the youth spend more money doing or encountering social media pressure, which after sometimes sometimes they date people who are not in their level. So they struggle much trying to impress people in terms of doing their own financial independent decision. That is the first thing. And then the second thing is discipline and consistency. A man, you should have consistency in what you are doing, and we should do it with discipline. That should define your success. Yeah.
Let me throw it back to you, Ledama. How do you deal with, I say, failure as a man? You've outwardly you've used an example of Andrew Kibe starting out some 2-3 things, it hit a dead end. But then setback means that you're still in the rhythm and the feel and the flow of what you're pursuing or you're pursued. And there's a possibility of you, I'd say, escalating progress later on if you pumped support into it. But then failure means you hit a dead end, and it's either they help you out, it's either help in or help out, or you remain helpless forever and stay in that condition, or you get something new to begin with. So how do you deal with that as a man?
Thank you. Before I answer that question, I'd like to disagree with my friend Fred.
Yeah.
That as a young man, I cannot view, or I cannot say that failure in marriage cannot be viewed as a failure of man, because I mean there are a lot of causes that makes marriage not to work out, and maybe
marriage is a choice, actually.
Parting ways in a relationship cannot be viewed as you failure, because majority of us, maybe we have been raised by families which marriages had failed, but looking into it, I do not see that. I cannot say that that failure in marriage can be used to define one
success,
of the partners, or that he or she has failed in life. Because a lot of things happen, and maybe one of the ways of mitigating is by parting ways.
Yeah. There's an update that says Gen Z are not even opting to go for marriage. They're opting to be independent and even have these setups where if you have a partner, they stay in the other home. You just meet on occasional days when you're supposed to meet for whatever, and then everybody goes their separate way. I don't know how that's going to work anyways in future, but because we're running out of time, we have like 7 minutes. I want you to talk about...
to that question then.
Yeah. How do you deal with failure
as
a man?
As a man, you have to accept that you failed.
Acceptance.
And, after acceptance, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to figure it out. You have to work it out like the phoenix bird, which is a mythical bird that puts itself into ashes and comes out as a new thing. So as a man, you have to really look into the issues that brought that particular failure. After that, you have to strategize. You have to sit down. You have to take yourself to a very small meeting and plan ahead. You know, you have to
look futuristic.
You have to look at the things, and you have to plan on how to not to encounter side things that had made you to fail as a man.
Be futuristic, okay. Yeah. But then when you look at the current life, or the in current day and times we're in, there's a lot of things that are happening to people out here. You mentioned at some point being raised in a family where marriage didn't work. Maybe you come from a family where, you know, when you try some certain puzzles, you end up in a ditch, or you end up in a very, I'd say, in a crazy situation where maybe you are unable to even make progress. Is it possible for someone to be used to patterns of failure to a point that they can't be helped?
To me, it's not obvious that if you that somebody can undergo a certain pattern of failures in that they cannot be helped at all. For me, I disagree. There is no particular line that there's no particular line that an individual has to follow so that they become successful, you know. It's always about taking a risk.
It's just trying and risking, right?
Taking a risk, trying it out. If it works, well and good. If it doesn't, you have to also look at other options that are available that are at your doorstep, you know. The reason I'm saying that is that politically, maybe you may have witnessed people who have tried severally and they haven't succeeded. But that doesn't mean that they have failed totally. No, not specifically Baba, but even in the US, we had the former, I think the 16th president of the United States of America, Abraham Lincoln. How many times did he try vying for political seats in the Congress, in the Senate? In the vice president, he never succeeded. In business, he failed. But eventually, there was that one particular time that he came out and it really worked for him. So to me, I believe no matter how many setbacks or failures that you encounter on your way, there is always that one particular time that it will work for you. It will work it out for you.
For Baba, do you see it as now that you brought in, and it just popped up in my head, would you say for him it's a setback, or it's a series of just events, of factors where it looks like it's about to work out for me, and oh, the devil comes in and it explodes into chaos? Would you consider it as failure or setbacks for Baba's political career?
For Baba, once he fails, he sits down, strategize, and use the failure as an opportunity. So you can still convert the failure into an opportunity. There is an opportunity in every tragedy. So that is the philosophy of what Baba uses. Even if he failed in the USC, he can still
vie for 2027 elections.
Vie for 2022, and he can
2027.
Still use 2027. And you can see people like, you know, the owner of KFC. He tried several times, and it worked when he was at the age of 62. So the best
Kentucky Fried Chicken guy.
So
there's still hope. So for him, is it a failure or a setback?
It is a setback.
It's a setback, right?
So you use that.
But this setbacks is a series of them, you know.
So a failure, you should understand, once you fail, you should analyze why you failed. Then you use it as a setback.
He's been doing that.
And he has been trying through that all through. That's
but,
why he has been in
credit
government.
to Baba, bro. This guy, do you want to have the confidence about the autonomy? Like you try this, it doesn't work out, you reinvent, you turn.
That is what
I think he's been consistent.
That is an example.
He's been consistent.
You use the
credit.
setback as you create an opportunity out of every strategy.
So now for the Gen Zs who are watching this conversation and they're interested to know, maybe what are some of the things I should align in check so that my life goes on well, so that I don't brush shoulders with the rhythm called failure. I'm a setback. In 30 seconds, because we are exiting, I'll come back to you.
So the first thing a man should do is set clear goals of what he wants.
Goals.
Have a vision.
Set clear goals, have a vision. Continue. You have 30 seconds there.
Have financial management skills.
Financial management skills, okay.
work on your building your skills in terms of education.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also the peer influence, the people around you, and you look for good mentorship that can nurture your vision.
For Gen Z who's career-oriented, what can they do to avoid failing and setbacks?
To my fellow Gen Zs, one is that work on your educational background. Two, work on your religion or your spirituality. Another thing is work on mentors, have mentors. Another thing is that have a clear vision of what you really want in life.
Vision.
In the words of Oprah Winfrey, she said that all dreams are valid. Have dreams as early as now, because it will work out in future.
Yeah. Is it Oprah, Barack Obama, or Lupita Nyong'o? Say your social media very fast.
Across all my social media, I'm Fred Mokua.
Fred Mokua.
Yeah.
Sure you follow him,
Across all my social media channels, I'm Ledama Meidiki Meshak.
Thank you so much, Ledama Emediki Meshak, alongside Fred Mokua. You said you're a Gen Z as well?
Yeah, I'm a Gen Z.
You said East African
Youth MP.
Youth Member of Parliament.
2024, 2025.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming through. And we also say thank you so much for watching us from exactly 7 a.m. to right now it's 9:59. We'll absolutely see you tomorrow bright and early at Y254 channel and at Brand Sakwana 1. My co-host and I, Stephanie Ayeta, will see you tomorrow.